What gold and silver can mean for your IRA. Senior partner at GSI Exchange, a physical delivery gold and silver firm based in the U.S., with offices in TX, NY, CA and DA. Photo. Getty. Suppose you just found out you can add physical gold and silver to your individual retirement account (IRA), and you're seriously considering it. First of all, it's nice to know you'll get tax advantages for holding precious metals in your IRA portfolio as you would any other eligible investment. But then you ask yourself, what is the added value of holding precious metals in my retirement account? You search online, hoping to learn more about the pros and cons of these assets. Your search yields a mixed bag of results, some of which you find a bit weird. How so? The various sites presenting the pros and cons either repeat the same old popular wisdom and common assumptions you're already aware of, or they tend to be a bit extreme. Presenting ultra-conservative, fear-mongering propaganda. So what's the real deal? What are the true advantages and disadvantages of holding physical gold and silver in an IRA? This is a question I often encounter working with investors who are looking to add precious metals to their portfolios. To answer this question, take a step back and ask yourself, what do I want my IRA portfolio to do in addition to serving as a tax shelter? The answer is likely plain and clear. You want your future retirement money to grow while keeping it safe. Let's focus on those two things, growth and safety. Portfolio growth. As investors know, almost every kind of investment presents an opportunity for growth. You can put all your money into equities, and it might grow. You can purchase bonds or fixed income assets, and over time, those instruments may yield returns. Promoted. Civic Nation BRANDVOICE. Paid program. Be careful little ears what you hear, reflecting on the Bible Belt's beliefs about women. UNICEF USA BRANDVOICE. UNICEF steps up blockchain investments for children. Grads of Life BRANDVOICE. Paid program. Work rebooted, preparing for the future of work. But there's a reason most investors don't concentrate all their money into a single asset, as in just one stock. A single category, as in one stock sector, or a single asset class, as in stocks or bonds only. Over-concentrating your money into any one of these can result in greater risk exposure, stocks and higher risk bonds, or smaller growth potential, investment-grade bonds and other safe fixed income investments. So, investors choose to diversify, spreading risk across different assets, all of which can produce positive returns in cycles. The risk in a given stock might be offset by holding another. On a larger scale, the same principle applies to stock sectors and asset classes. If the values in one portion of a portfolio decline, then, ideally, another will appreciate, offsetting negative performance. Depending on the economic climate, gold and silver can have little to no correlation to stocks, bonds or fixed income yield. This makes them a good asset class for portfolio diversification. Of course, they are also subject to price fluctuations. In short, gold and silver offer an additional and diversified return source in your portfolio. They can rise in certain market environments while other assets fall, and vice versa. Safe haven. Now, let's talk about safety. There are plenty of instances of fear-mongering among gold dealers focusing on runaway inflation or unstable governments, all pointing to the dollar's demise. Of course, you can read academic papers that say the same thing but with much less style and doomsday rhetoric. But is there any truth to these messages? While the US dollar has lost over 84% of its value since 1971. It might be better to call this gradual erosion rather than runaway inflation, since the term runaway denotes a Lack of control and also implies a relatively narrow time frame in which a given activity occurs quickly. While some people might not find this rate of purchasing power decline to be alarming, others, such as retirees who can't survive off their fixed income payments, would beg to differ. The notion of unstable governments might seem outlandish to some people in the U.S. This isn't the case in other countries that aggressively manipulate their currencies. Governments implement new policies and modify existing ones. Central banks adjust interest rates, and people vote for the very reason that the political and economic climates are dynamic and uncertain. Stability is a theoretical and linguistic construct. Then, there is the talk of the dollar's demise. To implicitly state that the dollar is still king, that countries are not diversifying against the dollar, that central banks are loading up on greenbacks versus other stable assets like gold, etc., is naive. This is not to say you should be paranoid about everything that was just discussed. Gold and silver do have their disadvantages, like every other investment. Because nobody can predict economic cycles, there's no way to predict how precious metals prices will fluctuate. Also, price doesn't always respond to real supply and demand conditions immediately, which can be discouraging to investors who are waiting for gold to go up or, in the case of short sellers and spread traders, go down. However, it wouldn't hurt to be cautious and to hedge. Should anything disrupt the electronic financial infrastructure, physical gold and silver won't disappear like digitized currency. Should the global economy slow down, central banks would load up on gold. That's why gold and silver are considered safe havens. The bottom line. Setting aside the rhetoric, both the boring and alarmist stuff, gold and silver are an additional return source you can use to further diversify your IRA portfolio. As the dollar's purchasing power erodes over time, the value of precious metals tends to remain unaffected, making the asset class a reliable hedge and safe haven if only by virtue of its non-correlation to most dollar-denominated assets. These are the benefits of holding gold and silver in your portfolio. Besides a tax shelter, portfolio growth and financial safety, what else would you expect from your IRA? The information provided here is not investment, tax or financial advice. You should consult with a licensed professional for advice concerning your specific situation. Forbes Finance Council is an invitation-only organization for executives in successful accounting, financial planning and wealth management firms. Do I qualify? Senior